Hi, Pastor Jared here, and I want to share you something that I just read by Daron Roberts. And it's titled The Church Boy Who Never Grew Up. And he wrote this out of the burden of, after just preaching a series through Psalm 127 to 128 about biblical manhood and what we want to see with men and fathers, and what do we want to see, and how often we look into the congregation and there's people in our congregation that look like a man. They seem like they are men, but in reality they're just church boys who never grew up. And so he writes us saying, after going through the series of his realization that we're not doing the job. And so here's his description of the church boy who never grows up. It starts, he wakes up each morning later than he planned because of his lack of self-discipline the night before. He opens his eyes unprepared for the day and immediately hits the snooze. He looks at the responsibilities and leadership opportunities that each day could bring as obstacles to his happiness, rather than opportunities to grow as a man of God. He spends his days mostly avoiding risks, fearful at the thought of having to go make a leadership decision that could expose his weaknesses. Discouragement and pride are his necklace. An overwhelmingly powerful fear of man and unchecked sexual lust reminds him that he doesn't battle his sin like he should. Where he should be encouraged, he shrinks back in order to protect the image. He thrives on the path of least resistance. His sexual craving rage, and rather than fighting the war within his selfish desire, eclipses any recent pledge to overcome those lusts. He knows for doing the bare minimum, constantly hitting the status quo, but never pushing forward to excellence. When others are watching, he can put on a show, but when only the Lord sees, apathy, inactivity, and a love for comfort are his idols of choice. He lives for his hobbies and for his own downtime. He can't wait to come out from under the pressure. He works for the weekend rather than God, and stressful days that call for greater faith in God and growth as a man becomes for him days he nurtures contempt for God's unfolding providence. He thinks with no urgency. He ignores the long-term impact of his current habits. Nothing awakes him to his need for preparation and conviction building for future battles. He figures he will cram when he needs to be spiritual minded, but sees little need to get too intense just yet. His excuse is God is sovereign, a theological smokescreen to veil his sluggish heart. He is lazy on every front except in crafty excuses. Free time is dedicated to his amusements, sleep, video games, social media, TV, shallow friends, YouTube, and hobbies. Instead of good books, deep sermons, robust discipleship, and hours in the Word get only honorable mentions for him. His time with mentors at church is only a box to check. Sure, he tolerates counsel from godly men, endures strong preaching, but on the veneer of godliness, but ignores putting off the indwelling sins. Repentance to him is a term he uses, but not a habit he practices. His hypocrisy grows. When sin brings consequences, especially when it threatens his precious reputation. He sprints for a season, but his zeal fades as his consequences become less intense. His motivations for hobbies are earthly and self-absorbed. He lifts his sword to battle, but once a fight proves difficult, he lowers it and then swings the flag of self-pity. When the worldliness shows up in his favorite hobbies, he ignores the warnings of conscience. He craves to be able to sin like the world, but since too much worldliness would bring exposure, he finds subtle ways to feast on worldly morsels under the disguise of Christian liberties. His self-orientation plagues him life in local church. He attends regularly, but he does not love the bride of Christ. When he questions about his lackluster approach to church life, he replies, "I'm committed, but just really busy in this season." This is only compounded by his guilt as he adds lying and excuse, making it to his current neglect. Self-sacrifice is eclipsed by self-ambition. He takes no invitation. He'll serve in the body if you push him, but off through a grumbling spirit. And even when smiling on the outside during service opportunities, he's usually standing up within. Critical thinking about truth is not his thing. He has a condition in his mind to think on the lowest spiritual frequency in order to spare himself the pain of being honest before God. People around him strive, mortify their lust, just irritate him, because he won't learn from the Word. God has put in a bit, a bridle to teach him, but experience. His friendship consists of sparring about unimportant things, and brief moments of shallow biblical generalities to be relevant in his guilt-ridden conscience. He treats people as resources to consume rather than precious souls he can serve. He gravitates towards relationships that cost him little and hovers around people who don't meddle in his character weaknesses. Sure, he's as chatty as a soccer mom with her latte when he discusses his favorite hobbies, his job, his political views, but the moment deep discussions about Christ and his word is the topic, he turns his face on screensaver mode and smiles and nods. Nobody trusts him to stand on God's word alone, or to suffer for a conviction. He has no stomach to fight for Christ because his loyalty is not to Christ. It is to himself. He will stand for truth occasionally, but only when he decides the cost is not too great. Convictions that would cost him are too much for his lust of a man's approval to endure. He wastes his late teens and 20s and is a husband and father now. He wants the benefits of marriage, but without the cost. His wife suffers under his neglect. She married a boy in a man's body. She tries to prod him, but has nurtured self-love for too long to listen to her burdened pleas. He is full of excuses of why he can't lead like the way she wants him to. He thickens more smokescreen to hide his heart of hypocrisy. She wonders where the guy went who seemed to be striving for holiness while they were dating, but now rarely talks with her about truth. His mask is now off at home, though this does not stop his quest to protect his reputation at church. She eventually gives up, self-feeds from the words, struggles, and is often discouraged. The children begin to grow up under the influence of a boy dad. He needs his own downtime, his man cave, his hobbies. He saves his conscience by providing financial and claims that he is around more than most dads. He strives to become their friends but neglects their souls. He never sits down to prepare them for the battles ahead. Frankly, he really helps them work through heart issues in moment. They are constantly caught off guard when facing temptations because of his neglect. His boy tendencies remain. By the time the kids hit their teen years, his outbursts of anger and neglect of godly example has cost him his credibility. His hypocrisy is acute and unmistakable and undeniable. In his anger, he hammers his kids to strive in areas he neglects, driving their exaggeration to full strength. He is too proud to seek their forgiveness. And in those moments, they need to be seen humility. When they get in the way of his desires, he shuts them down and rather than shepherd them. They comfort and smile for a while, but rebel inside. They grow up and leave him home, resenting Christianity because their dad demanded they live up what he would not. His relationship with his children is strained all their adult years. If he represents real Christianity, they want nothing to do with it. On his deathbed, if he is even in Christ, he reflects with grief and sorrow on his life poorly spent. And as he looks with longing eyes at his wife he never shepherded, and upon his kids who resent him, his final words are, "Oh, how I hate instruction and spurn reproof. I am ashamed before all. Forgive me." So ends the tragic biography of a church boy who never grew up to be a biblical masculine man. And let the readers be warned in response, may we labor to become the type of man described in Psalm 127 and 128. This story, this proverb, this is a really important thing as us as church leaders, as us as men, to strive to become the biblical men God wants us to be. Let us not be content with just going day by day, going to work, coming home, watching TV. But let's strive for godly excellence. Let us love our wives and shepherd our wife and guide our wives. Let us love our children, bring them up in the Lord. May we be the godly examples that they need. It is said that if a godly man raises up his children, that the children are more likely to stay Christians, to follow the example the Father has set. And so as men, as church leaders, let us be the godly men God is calling us to be.